Welcome to a deep dive into the world of medical laboratories.
Ready to prep for those interviews.
You know it. Today we're all about helping you totally crush that medical laboratory assistant interview.
We've got your back.
Whether you're fresh out of school or making a career shift, we've got RoleCatcher resources.
To decode those tricky questions and help you really shine.
Exactly. Okay, let's jump right in. One of the first questions you might get is, how did you become interested in pursuing a career as a medical laboratory assistant? Seems pretty basic, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
But it's your chance to make a memorable first impression.
Oh, absolutely. It might seem like a simple getting to know you question,
Totally.
but it's really an opportunity to showcase your passion
I like that.
and demonstrate what led you to this specific career path.
So how do you make your answers stand out?
Instead of a generic response, think about what sparked your interest in science and healthcare. Was there a particular biology class, maybe a documentary, or even a personal experience that ignited your fascination?
I see. So like a connection.
Exactly. Sharing a compelling story that connects the dots for the interviewer can make all the difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's say you're fresh out of school and haven't actually worked in a laboratory setting yet.
Okay, common situation.
How do you answer the dreaded, what experience do you have working in a laboratory setting question? I imagine this one trips up a lot of people.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a common concern, but don't panic.
Okay, good to know.
Even without direct work experience, you can highlight relevant skills.
Okay, so transferable skills. Got it.
Exactly. Have you volunteered in a research lab, maybe shadowed a technician, or even participated in any science fairs or projects that involved laboratory techniques? All of those experiences count.
Yeah, true.
They demonstrate your familiarity with the lab environment.
I bet those lab sessions during your studies are a goldmine for examples, too.
100%. Talking about the techniques you learned, the equipment you used, that attention to detail required for those experiments, that all demonstrates a foundational understanding of laboratory work.
Even if it wasn't a paid position, it's still valuable.
Exactly. Valuable experience.
So it's really about drawing parallels.
And showcasing those transferable skills.
Love it. Now let's talk accuracy. RoleCatcher's resources really emphasize how crucial precision is in a medical lab.
Rightfully so.
It's not like baking a cake where a little extra salt is fine. What should someone keep in mind when tackling a question like, how do you ensure accuracy and precision in your work?
You're spot on. In a medical lab, precision isn't just encouraged, it's essential.
Right.
When answering this question, showcase your meticulous side.
I like it.
Talk about double-checking measurements, religiously adhering to protocols, and understanding the importance of regular equipment calibration.
So it's all about demonstrating that you understand the gravity of the work.
Absolutely.
And your commitment to maintaining the highest standards. Now, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about those unexpected moments in the lab. What happens when you get an abnormal sample or a result that just doesn't seem quite right? It's not like you can just shrug and move on to the next one, right?
Definitely not. That's where critical thinking comes in.
Makes sense.
And it leads perfectly to another common interview question. How do you handle a situation where you encounter unexpected results or an abnormal sample?
I was just going to ask about that.
It's your chance to really shine as a problem solver.
Okay, walk us through how you would tackle this kind of scenario.
First and foremost, don't panic. Start by double-checking everything.
Seems obvious, but so important.
Right. Did you follow the protocol precisely? Is the equipment functioning correctly?
So important to eliminate those variables.
Exactly. If everything checks out on your end, then you'd want to follow the established procedures for reporting abnormal results.
And those procedures might vary.
They can, which might involve flagging it for a supervisor or running additional tests.
So it's a combination of meticulous double-checking and knowing the proper escalation paths if something seems off. Now, I know medical labs can be incredibly busy places.
Oh, tell me about it.
How do you demonstrate your ability to prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively in that kind of environment?
Interviewers often ask about this, and they might phrase it as, how do you prioritize tasks and manage your time effectively in a busy laboratory setting? This is where you can talk about specific strategies you use.
Okay, give us an example.
Let's say you're dealing with a large influx of samples. Do you triage them based on urgency, tackling the stat tests first? Or perhaps you're a master of to-do lists and meticulous scheduling to stay on top of your workload.
It's like having a system.
Exactly. Highlighting these strategies demonstrates that you can handle the pressure and maintain efficiency, even in a fast-paced lab setting.
Sounds like being able to prioritize and stay organized is essential for any successful medical laboratory assistant.
For sure.
Now, I have to ask about technology because we can't talk about modern labs without mentioning electronic medical records, or EMRs,
Of course not.
and laboratory information systems, LISs. They're everywhere these days.
And for good reason.
Right.
Absolutely. These systems are the backbone of modern healthcare.
Right.
And interviewers will definitely want to know your comfort level with them.
So they might just come right out and ask.
They might ask something like, what experience do you have working with EMRs or LIS?
But what if you're still in school and haven't used these specific systems yet?
It's okay.
Okay, good to know.
Even if you haven't used a particular system in a work environment, demonstrating a basic understanding of their function is important. Talk about how EMRs are used to manage patient data securely, while LISs help track samples, manage those test results,
Right, that makes sense.
and ensure everything is properly documented.
So even without hands-on experience, you can still show that you understand the crucial role these systems play
Exactly.
in a modern lab. Now, let's talk about the human side of the equation.
Okay, sure.
Labs are collaborative environments. But let's be real. Not every coworker is a dream to work with, right?
Oh, that's the truth.
How do you answer the question? How do you handle difficult or challenging coworkers or supervisors without throwing anyone under the bus?
That's a great question. And it's one interviewers love to ask to gauge your interpersonal skills and your ability to handle conflict professionally. The key here is to focus on your approach to resolving conflict constructively.
Give us some examples of how you might answer that.
Instead of dwelling on the negative aspects of a difficult coworker, emphasize your ability to maintain professionalism and open communication.
Right.
You could say something like, I believe in addressing issues directly, but always respectfully.
Okay.
If I had a concern with a coworker, I would first try to have a calm and open conversation with them.
To try and find a resolution.
Exactly. It's important to demonstrate that you understand the appropriate channels for resolving conflict and that you wouldn't let interpersonal challenges disrupt the lab's workflow.
Absolutely not. The work comes first.
Right.
So it's all about showing that you can navigate those tricky interpersonal situations with grace and professionalism.
Exactly.
Now, let's shift gears again
Okay.
and talk about problem solving, but on a more technical level.
Right.
I noticed that RoleCatcher highlights the importance of troubleshooting in a lab setting.
Makes sense.
Why is that such a critical skill for a medical laboratory assistant?
Troubleshooting is essential because, let's face it, things don't always go according to plan in a lab.
It's true. Things happen.
Equipment malfunctions,
Yeah.
tests produce unexpected results.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you encounter those head-scratching moments where you need to think outside the box to find a solution.
Definitely.
Interviewers want to know that you can stay calm under pressure, think critically,
And be resourceful.
right, and find solutions when faced with these unexpected challenges.
So how do you prepare for a question like, can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a difficult laboratory problem?
This is a classic behavioral interview question.
Okay.
And the best way to tackle it is to have a specific example ready to share.
So come prepared.
Exactly. Think back to a time when something went wrong in a lab setting, even if it was during your studies.
That's fair.
Walk the interviewer through the problem, emphasizing how you identified the cause, the steps you took to fix it.
What you learned.
Yes, what you learned from the experience.
I imagine that showcasing your ability to think critically and problem solve effectively under pressure would make a big impression.
Absolutely. It demonstrates that you have a genuine interest in the technical aspects of the work.
Shows that you're cut out for this.
Exactly, and that you're not afraid to tackle challenges head on.
Now, one final question before we move on to how RoleCatcher can be your secret weapon in this whole interview process.
Okay, shoot.
The world of medicine is constantly changing, with new technologies and discoveries emerging all the time.
It's true. Always something new.
How do you demonstrate to an interviewer that you're committed to staying updated in such a rapidly evolving field?
That's where the question, how do you stay current with developments in laboratory science and technology, comes in.
Oh, I see. So they're looking for that.
Yes, this isn't about regurgitating textbook knowledge.
Right.
It's about showing that you're actively engaged in the field and have your finger on the pulse of what's new and innovative.
So how do you answer that effectively? I mean, I can't imagine anyone's expecting you to read every single scientific journal out there.
You're right. It's not about knowing absolutely everything.
Okay, good.
Instead, focus on highlighting how you stay informed.
So Like what?
Do you subscribe to industry newsletters? Follow key researchers or institutions on social media?
I see.
Maybe you attend webinars or conferences to stay abreast of the latest advancements.
It's about showcasing that genuine passion
Yes.
and dedication to staying ahead of the curve. Speaking of staying ahead of the curve, let's talk about how RoleCatcher can give candidates a significant advantage in the interview process.
Love it.
It's not just a static library of generic interview advice, right?
Not at all. RoleCatcher is like having a personalized interview coach in your pocket,
Oh, wow.
powered by AI.
That sounds incredibly helpful, but how does that actually work?
Let's say you're working on your answers to some of the questions we've discussed today.
Okay,
With RoleCatcher, you can actually input your responses,
I see.
and the AI will analyze them in the context of the job description you're interested in.
That's amazing. So it's not just giving you generic feedback.
Yep.
It's tailoring its advice to the specific role and the skills they're looking for.
Exactly. It's like having an expert in medical laboratory science review your answers
Okay.
and provide personalized suggestions.
Give us some examples of the kind of feedback RoleCatcher might provide.
For example, let's say you're answering that question about handling difficult coworkers. RoleCatcher might suggest highlighting specific examples of how you've successfully navigated conflict in a team-based environment using keywords from the job description.
Oh, that's smart.
Or, if you're answering a technical question about troubleshooting equipment, it might recommend including details about the specific types of equipment mentioned in the job posting.
That's incredibly helpful. It takes the guesswork out of trying to figure out what the hiring manager is looking for.
Exactly.
But it goes even further than just analyzing your written responses, right?
You're right. RoleCatcher also offers a fantastic feature where you can practice your answers through video.
Oh, wow, through video.
Yep, you can record yourself responding to common interview questions,
Okay.
and the AI will analyze your delivery, tone, and even your body language,
No way.
providing feedback to help you project confidence and make a great impression.
It's like having a mock interview with an AI coach who never gets tired of practicing with you.
Precisely. It's all about giving you the tools and confidence to put your best foot forward.
This is seriously next-level interview prep.
Right.
It sounds like RoleCatcher has unlocked the cheat codes to acing any interview in the medical lab field.
It's all about empowering you to showcase your skills and knowledge effectively.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more thing that I know weighs heavily on a lot of candidates' minds.
Okay.
The competitive nature of the job market.
Yeah, for sure.
How can RoleCatcher help someone stand out from the crowd, especially in a field as sought after as medical laboratory science?
You're absolutely right. The job market can be incredibly competitive, especially in a field like medical laboratory science.
It's tough out there.
It is. It's in high demand, but that's where RoleCatcher really shines.
Okay, I like it.
By using its AI-powered tools, you're not just prepping for any interview, you're prepping for the interview, the one that will land you your dream job.
That's a great way to put it.
Right?
It's like the difference between showing up to a potluck with a store-bought dish versus something you've meticulously crafted yourself.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Both might be tasty, but the latter shows you've put in that extra effort.
Exactly. RoleCatcher helps you tailor your answers and your delivery to perfectly align with what hiring managers are looking for.
Okay.
It's giving you a competitive edge that generic interview prep simply can't match.
It's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket.
I love it.
You've got the knowledge, the practice, and the AI-powered feedback to really stand out from the crowd.
Precisely. And the best part is you don't have to be a tech whiz to use it.
Oh, that's good to know.
RoleCatcher is designed to be user-friendly and intuitive.
That's music to my ears. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into acing your medical laboratory assistant interview, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Preparation is everything.
Yes.
And I don't just mean knowing the material. I mean knowing how to present yourself confidently and effectively.
Right.
RoleCatcher equips you with the tools and insights to walk into that interview feeling prepared and empowered to showcase your skills and passion.
It's about transforming those interview nerves into confident energy.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners out there who are ready to take their interview prep to the next level,
Yes.
head over to RoleCatcher and start your free account.
What are you waiting for?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of medical laboratory science and how to conquer that interview.
Best of luck out there.
Until next time.